Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Fayetteville. My name is Jacob Hook. I'm a member here. I'm also on the Justice team. Unitarian Universalism is a religious tradition that values freedom in religious thought and journey. We uphold the unity of our interconnections, connections to each other, and to all of life, and to the precious universe which we are a part. We affirm the universality of love and hope as we journey together in community, and we welcome you, whoever you are at this moment, wherever you are in your spiritual journey. For those who are joining us, welcome. If you are new, please check out our website at uufayetteville.org for more information. For those who are visiting for us for the first time, you will find a visitor information card in the back seat in front of you. We'd love for you to fill one out so that you can get on the email list and keep yourself informed of all of our events. Later in our service, we have time where you are invited to come forward and drop a stone symbolizing our joys or concerns in the bowl of water. If you have a joy or concern you'd like to share, we invite you to fill out one of these yellow cards that you also find in the back of your seat. There's a place there for you to indicate if you want your joy or your concern shared aloud, or if you want it to be confidential or shared with leadership. If you fill out a yellow card, you can bring that forward at that time. If you're online, you may write your joys and concerns in the comments there at that time. Please note that these comments will be public. If you have a need for hearing assistance, our AV Tech David can help you with that. Children are always welcome in service, but there is a staff nursery available downstairs if you prefer. Please remember to silence your cell phones as we enter into our service. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. Please join me in lighting the chalice. The words are on the screen and in your order of service. Love is the spirit of this community, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and truth, and to help one another. Thus do we covenant together.
Good morning again, everyone, and thank you for being here. So today's title of our service is Celebrating Our Earth's Sanctity. As Jacob explained, in UU tradition, we affirm the interconnected web of all existence. And yet so much of our culture is focused on the myth that we're separate from nature, rather than a part of it, which we are. Last night, many of us gathered to watch the documentary Good Natured and to reflect together on how connection to the natural world and to each other and to engage in meaningful action nurtures both our community resilience and our psychological resilience to the age that we're living in. And I just want to offer deep gratitude to Dinah for bringing us together in that way and spearheading the initiative, and to Megan for helping us discover such a powerful film, and to everybody who joined and helped make it possible. So as we hold the sacredness of this earth, we also hold the reality of climate injustice. No one is immune to the impacts of climate change, and yet those impacts are not experienced equally. It intersects with migration, housing, food systems, health, race, and generations to come. And yet, across the world, the vast majority of people are very concerned about climate change. People who are concerned about climate change are in the majority, in case you didn't catch that. And people are really moved, it turns out, and this is empirically supported from international studies now, people are moved to act on climate change by love. Love for their children, for future generations, and for this planet. That love is what sustains us, especially when we root ourselves in nature, in community, and in collective action. Collective action is actually good for our mental health. To that end, I want you to be aware that our Unitarian Universalist Association is inviting congregations as part of the Green Sanctuary program. This is a new initiative. Green Sanctuary is not, but what's happening now is to gain support for fellowships to become climate resilience hubs for our fellowships and even sometimes for our broader community. And if you feel called to that work, please let Dinah or I know, because we'd love to connect with you about that. This age that we're living in really does call us to meaningful action on so many fronts. Recently, there is new legislation introduced by Senator Ted Cruz and Representative Harriet Hageman, which aims to shield fossil fuel companies from climate-related lawsuits, of which there are rightfully many. This bill is heinous and immoral. So, it's called the Stop Climate Shakedowns Act of 2026, and I can never remember that because it's so ridiculous. They're the ones shaking us down. So, if you ever find yourself wondering what to do about climate change, I would encourage you to consider reaching out to your members of Congress and voice your opposition to this immoral bill. You can use your 5 Calls app if you already have it on your phone, or download it. It's a great app. They're really good about keeping up with current issues that we need to be contacting our members of Congress about. There is so much reason for hope on this front. Around the world, renewables account for over 90% of new electricity capacity added, mostly solar, but also wind, and are already over 30% of energy sources. That's pretty cool. We're moving in the right direction. Renewables are projected to overtake coal as the largest source of global electricity this year. Ironically, and perhaps some poetic justice, evidence and projections indicate that the global tensions over oil, particularly due to the conflict in the Strait of Hormuz, from this oil war started by fossil fuel captured leadership, are actually encouraging an escalation of the renewable energy surge that is already underway. Woo! So, that's good news. Here at home, we are seeing the impacts of climate change in our own watershed, patterns of drought and flooding across the southern United States, including Arkansas. This makes the work of watershed conservation more vital than ever, which is why we're so grateful to have Suzanne with us today. Suzanne is the Education and Water Quality Specialist with the Illinois River Watershed Partnership and a former high school science teacher. Her work bridges science, education, and community, helping people understand and restore and care for these waters that sustain us. And we're so grateful that she's here with us. And we're glad that you're here too. So, thank you.
Our opening hymn today is For the Earth Forever Turning. You can see the words on your screen, and you can see words and music in the gray hymnal, which should be just under the seats if you choose to do that. So if you would like to rise in body or spirit as you're willing and able, we're going to sing this song together, okay? I'm going to ask Brenda to play through the melody one time fully with us just listening so you can get it. It's a really beautiful song. Thank you. You may be seated.
Hello, I have a little story to share with you called The Wonders of Nature. Isn't it a wonder the way the woods know that spring is coming before the snow is gone? The sleeping plants send up green shoots and the tree buds swell and burst. Isn't it a wonder that some seeds have wings, and some have tiny silken parachutes, and some seeds are hidden away in fruits, and that every seed, no matter how tiny, has a whole tiny plant inside with food to use when it starts to grow? Isn't it a wonder that under the sea there are beautiful, strange gardens where the flowers are animals? Sea anemones, sea lilies, sea cucumbers, and sea grapes all are animals. Isn't it a wonder that tiny coral animals under the sea, which never move, build great towers and whole islands of their tiny shells? Isn't it a wonder that on the dry desert, some plants have thick stems in which they store water, and no leaves at all, and lots of prickly spines to keep thirsty animals from eating them up? And the kangaroo rat, who lives on the desert, never drinks water, but makes it in his tiny body out of crisp, dry seeds. Isn't it a wonder that the beaver can bite a young tree through in just a few minutes? He bites off the branches and uses them to build a dam across the stream. And all the birds around, and the squirrels and possums, the deer and the moose, enjoy that beaver pond. Isn't it a wonder that in the jungles the leaves grow so thickly overhead that some birds and animals on the ground never see the sun? And there are insects that look just like leaves. And trees start growing high in the air on top of other trees and send spindly roots down to the ground. Isn't it a wonder that far up north in the land of ice and snow we call the Arctic, animals have winter coats of fur as white as the snow? Isn't it a wonder that some birds fly thousands of miles over ocean and land and return to the same special spots to lay their eggs? That salmon swim hundreds of miles to shore and far up the rivers and over the waterfalls and return to the same special spots to lay their eggs? Isn't it a wonder that fireflies have lights on their bodies that can flash on and off? That crickets chirp by rubbing their wings? That some fish deep in the ocean have little electric lights dangling in front of their noses as they swim, or little lights along their sides? Isn't it a wonder that out in the pond, smooth, wiggly tadpoles lose their tails and grow legs and turn into frogs? And that fuzzy caterpillars weave silken cocoons around themselves and go to sleep? Then they wake up as pretty moths or butterflies. Isn't it a wonder that a little baby that couldn't walk or talk or feed itself should grow up to be you?
As a community of people that care about each other, we share our various joys and concerns. We invite you to share your ups and downs as you desire. You can come to the front and drop a stone for any joy or concern, shared or confidential, expressed or held in your heart. As you drop your stone, may you experience the spreading of love and support. If you filled out a card, you can bring it to me. On the card, please indicate whether your comment is confidential or to be shared. If you need to stay where you are, feel free to raise the card so someone can get it and bring it up here for you. If you're attending virtually, you may write your joys and concerns in the comments at this time. But remember that those will not be kept confidential because we just can't do it. Joanna, could you please drop a stone for joys and concerns not spoken?
I'm going to draw several.
Yes. And some more for joys and concerns we may all experience in the coming week. And let's just have a moment of silence while we hold all of these joys and concerns in our hearts. Thank you.
Thank you for honoring those joys and concerns. In our Unitarian Universalist tradition, we take an offering, not out of obligation, but as a spiritual practice, as an expression of gratitude, generosity, and our shared commitment to care for one another in the world. It's one of the ways that we live our values here and beyond these walls. Today, our offering is a Share the Plate offering, and a portion will go to the Omni Center for Peace, Justice, and Ecology, a longtime local organization working at the intersection of compassion, justice, and protecting our earth. Through their Gateway Feeds Folks initiative, doesn't that sound great? Gateway Feeds Folks. They are providing meals for members of our unhoused community, feeding about 40 people at a time. As Gladys Tiffany shared with me, they could really use some encouragement right now. With so much justice work to do these days, it's been harder to organize home-cooked meals. But they still show up with pizza and sandwiches, and people are fed in the park, and they're deeply grateful. Your generosity today helps sustain that much-needed outreach and care, so thank you for contributing as you're able. Our ushers are going to come forward now.
Thanks for having me today, you guys, and thank you so much to Dinah and Joanna for inviting me. I do not know exactly what a prayer is, but I do know how to fall to the ground, to kneel in the grass, or in my case, I kneel in the creek on the cobble looking at bugs. So, I'm here today because my job is an environmental specialist and an educator. I work with the Illinois River Watershed Partnership, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we do today, and essentially, not just what I do, but what humans can do, and hopefully what you guys will be able to do too. So, our mission is to improve the integrity of the Illinois River watershed through public education, community outreach, and implementation of conservation and restoration practices throughout the watershed. So if you've never seen our watershed before, oh no, here's our people first. So here's all of our staff. So I'm over there on the left side, but we have a full staff of really awesome human beings. So we work in both Arkansas and Oklahoma, and since we have such diverse ways of getting our work done, we have to have a diverse crew. So a good half of us are just restoration specialists, because that is heavy boots on the ground work there. And a lot of us are doing admin, some of us are doing organization, some of us, like me, do water quality and education. We do a lot. Here's our watershed. This is what we look like. And we're in it right now today in Fayetteville. So you can kind of see, oh, it works lovely. So right over here is Fayetteville, and you'll notice that most of the Northwest Arkansas corridor is in our watershed. Have any of you guys seen this map before? No. Yay! Learning. So this is showing you guys a watershed is essentially an area of land where water will all flow to the same place. So in this case, all of our water, the Illinois River itself starts down here near Hawkeye, just a little bit north of Greenland, and then it comes up and up and up and over, down over here into a lake. And y'all see this kind of like little dividing line right here? Yeah. That is a state line. Our watershed has a, not entirely unique, but a very interesting place of being straddling two states, which means we have a lot of things going on between those two states that we help to mitigate, or we help to make sure that understanding is passing, but it's a lot to tackle. And I always like to joke, we have Beaver Lake over here, and our neighbors that I work with often are the beaver watershed, but tell me that doesn't look like a beaver. That's a chunky beaver right there. So what I do is I do water monitoring throughout all of this watershed. So right now it is high water monitoring season. The rains have been a fickle mistress, but I go through Arkansas and Oklahoma and look at all of our little creeks and streams, see how they're doing, see what they're up to. And I bring kids out into the stream with me too. So for example, next Tuesday, I'm going to be bringing the Don Tyson School of Innovation kiddos over to Spring Creek in downtown Springdale. They're going to be doing water monitoring to see how Spring Creek is, to give the city of Springdale recommendations on if they can say, yes, please go enter our creek, it's safe, it's fun, go kid, do the thing. So we're going to be giving them scientific recommendations to the city based on the work that they do. So our program areas at large are, we do stakeholder engagement, public education, voila. We do water quality monitoring, low impact development, and green infrastructure, which is kind of like the urban arm of our restoration practices. And we do septic tank remediation, we do recreation stewardship, and riparian restoration and large landowner services. So this would be more of like the agri or the rural version of what we do here in the cities, where we do a lot of rain gardens or a lot of stormwater management. And out on agri farms, we will do a lot more of stream bank restoration or management of livestock, that kind of thing. To do the work that we do, we can't stay in a silo. It is an incredibly difficult position to need to talk to the people that are doing the pollution, talk to the people that are concerned, and find somewhere at the table for everybody, make good solutions, and get people to follow through. It is a very difficult spot. But in order to do that, we have a lot of people at our table. So this kind of represents our board and our stakeholders. So we've got everyone from big businesses, which I'm sure you guys have seen these businesses in the papers or in the news. And agriculture, we have them. We've got our government. We've got conservation folks. We've got construction folks. We try to open a wide basket to the people that are part of our organization. I'm going to go through this part pretty fast, just that I'm reasonable with time here. But some folks that we have on staff, these are our executive director and associate director, Leif and Morgan. They're awesome human beings, and I would bet a few people in our audience knows who Leif is, because he and his mother are locals here, and they know the church pretty well. And Morgan Keeling lives in Springdale, and she does a lot. She's done just about everything from the septic tank to communications. Jerry Fleming is one of our newest folks. We have a lot of stuff that we do in Arkansas, because if you notice on that map, densely populated in northwest Arkansas, so that's where we get a lot of our community outreach, that's where we get a lot of our education, and that's where a lot of our money comes from, because the state of Arkansas has been doing a lot of that. But Oklahoma, there are fewer people, it's a lot more widespread, so we don't have as much inquiry over there, or we don't have as much outreach options. So we've got Jerry now. She is on task. So she's going to help us make sure that we're taking care of our Oklahoma folks too. Annie is our director of restoration. She does so many things, whether it's rain garden installation, detention pond retrofits, which is basically taking, I'm sure you guys have seen in some of these new subdivisions, they'll have these big old detention ponds that are just a grassy, trashy mess. She puts them into something beautiful. She will go through and take those detention ponds and retrofit them with native plants in a streamway, so that it's doing an ecosystem service of providing food and pollinators and services for drainage, instead of just being a trashy little puddle. So she does a lot of things like that, and she also does big tasks like big tree installations or entire string bait restoration projects. And she, of course, can't get that done without a lot of boots on the ground for that. So a lot of the people I'm going to also tell you about do the things that she designs to do. Kirsten is our administrative specialist, and Sarah Alvey is our program coordinator. So I'll be telling you guys about volunteer things or community outreach things that we do. She's the lady for that. She's in charge. She knows what she's doing. She's also in charge of our social media. So when you see posts on there, maybe about 5% are from me, maybe 5% from Lee for Annie, and then all the rest of it's Sarah. She's got it. We've got Kate and Sydney. Both of them are also new hires in order to help Annie out. She's been having a lot of big projects, and one of them I hope to talk to you guys about if I have enough time. And these two ladies are really good at being engineers and making design work happen. So Kate is in charge of a lot of our urban stuff. So whether that's green infrastructure, urban development, stormwater management, she's going to be the head on that. And Sydney is going to be restoration specialist for mostly our large-scale projects. So we've got big stuff happening in Oklahoma with a grant that we've got, and we've got a lot of big bank restorations, and she's going to be a lot of the engineering force for that. The boys, the restoration boys, these guys are doing a lot of the getting the trees to the spot, getting all of the holes pre-drilled, getting a lot of our plants moved to where they need to be. So Leland and Max are fantastic. They work hard, they do heavy work, and they are such joyful human beings to be around. So they're amazing. And me, I do the education and water quality monitoring. Luckily, my job, I used to be a high school teacher, just as Joanna was telling you guys about, and I taught, my bread and butter was chemistry. But I started teaching AP Environmental Science. And there was something about that class and the things that I brought my students to that I didn't feel full. I was not doing exactly what I felt like I was ready to do. So with this work, I really get to do it all. I get to go and teach kids, and I get to do all the fun stuff. I do the fun labs, I bring in bugs, and I don't have to grade papers. It's great. It's fabulous. And I also get to go into the stream and bring students into the stream, bring teachers into the stream. I teach teachers. I teach college students who are going to be doing this as vocations. So I think I'm going to do some stream ecology with a group next month. So I teach a bunch of people. So it's really diverse, and that's amazing that I get to teach everything from pre-K to adults out in the field. And I get to do some really cool stuff too. Like, this is me and in a cave. I get to go into our cave systems. We have karst geology here, y'all. It's amazing. So we have caves, we have sinkholes, we have all of these cool features that you get to see at Devil's Den. It's unique to the Ozarks, and it's a really cool feature to have, but she is also a fickle mistress. Karst also means that when you have all of these basically little Swiss cheese holes in the ground from limestone and dolomite being dissolved over long periods of time, those holes mean you get really quick groundwater recharge. So right now with this rain that we just had, that means our groundwater aquifers, they're up, they're awesome, they're quickly refilled. But if we have pollution in that water, in our storm water that goes down into our storm systems and down into the ground, that pollution has a pretty direct route. There's not a lot of time for filtration to happen. So the longer that the water can percolate through the ground, the better it can filter itself. But since we've got karst, it goes real fast, like holes in your coffee filter. You're going to get that coffee fast, but boy howdy, you're going to get some grounds in there. So we do a lot of cave stuff too. Most of the time, we're very sensitive around our cave ecosystems because we house threatened and endangered species in there. And I get to be a proud person who gets to see those threatened and endangered species. But they are under threat by the water. Like I said, with that groundwater filtration going real fast, it goes through their system really fast too. So a lot of our cave endemics, which means that they need to be in caves and that's their only habitat. A lot of other critters, if the water pollution gets too bad, they can go somewhere else or die. These guys have one option. So we try to look at the cave and see how they're doing and see how our threatened and endangered species are doing. So I feel very full. I get to teach, I get to be in the field, and it's very fulfilling. I want to tell you guys a little bit about our water quality impairments while I'm up here. So ultimately, based on places that I have lived my life before, we've got pretty good water. We've got a lot of it. We should be incredibly thankful for what we have. And a lot of folks in our region take that for granted. We are actually one of the few places that are also getting more rain historically than because of global climate change, whereas a lot of other places, they are getting less rain than they normally are. So we're getting more of it, but especially with our urban development happening, that is a double-edged sword. With that extra rain, that means that we have a lot of erosion happening. We have a lot of pollutants going directly into the water. So these are some of the pollutants that are happening in the Arkansas side of the watershed. So I picked, there are different degrees to which pollutants are in the water. So I picked category 5 and 5 alt. I threw 1B in there too, just because this was on the 5 list just last time. So I just wanted to make sure it was up there too. But a lot of these are the beginning points of the entire watershed. So Muddy Fork, Moores Creek, Clear Creek, all of these and the unnamed tributaries are really sensitive places. For one, their water is what goes into the Illinois River at large. They're the beginning. Also, this time of year, since it's spring, all the little critters, like the little tiny darterfish in particular, they will move to some of these small tributaries and these little beginning streamways in order to reproduce. Which means if their reproduction grounds are at risk, of course they're at risk too. So we've got to keep an eye on those guys. And I just wanted to point out that quite a lot of them, you'll see sulfates and primary contact E. coli. E. coli is the poopy, whether it's from septic tanks that are failing or whether it's from agricultural runoff or any other way that poop can essentially get into the waterways. So another reason why our septic remediation program is so important, because then we can hopefully reduce primary contact E. coli. This is Oklahoma's list. Theirs is a longer list. Ultimately, I will say, I think I have a slide on here talking about macroinvertebrates, which I'll explain here in a moment. Oklahoma's macroinvertebrate numbers are much higher than our numbers. Yet, they have a lot more going on here. You might notice on their cause of impairment, they have a lot of differentiated reasons why the impairment exists. Whereas for us, it was like sulfate, E. coli, pH. But over here, we have everything from macroinvertebrates, which I have never seen as a cause for impairment on the Arkansas side. Yet, their macroinvertebrate levels are higher at large. So, in Oklahoma, they have a lot more reasons that could classify a stream reach to be impaired, and they keep track of them very well. I did put it. So, with ecological monitoring, I do a lot of things. I will take chemistry grab samples and run what I can't see with my eyeballs. I'll do a habitat assessment for the stream bank, and the riparian zone, which is about 100 feet out from the creek itself. And I also look at the bugs. That's probably everyone's favorite part. It's mine for sure. And these little creek critters, they are called benthic macroinvertebrates because they are on the stream bottom, and they are indicative of water quality for many reasons. Whether that's because they are the base of the food chain for primary consumers, that means these guys are eaten by the fish, but are eaten by bigger fish. If we have a good bug population, that is good for the entire freshwater ecosystem. And some of these little guys, they are sensitive little guys. Like if you've ever been trout fishing before, trout require the best water. It needs to be pristine, non-polluted, high oxygen. Some of these bugs are very similar. Well, they'll need the best water quality. So if I see those bugs, that tells me something. So this is a chart telling you guys what's going on in Arkansas and Oklahoma. So up here at the top, you can kind of see how the Arkansas rests somewhere around the 16, whereas Oklahoma, we're up in the 20s. So higher the macroinvertebrate diversity index score, the better it is for the ecosystem. So Oklahoma, they've got it going on. They're doing pretty good. However, you notice what happened in 2025? So we're going to keep an eye on that. I did talk to some of our Oklahoma specialists where we have a few different reasons this might have happened. Everything from we had a really harsh summer in 2024, and we had a really intense spring rain in 2025. So those two combinations of drying out of the water and then really fast water means that it could have really affected the macroinvertebrate population. So we're going to see how this trend goes for next time around, but we're keeping an eye on that. So even with that being the lowest of what we have recorded so far, it is still higher than what we're seeing in Arkansas. We have more pollution, we have smaller tributary systems, so we don't have as much of the waterways meeting to converge and create more opportunities for more species. There's a lot of reasons. If y'all want to talk to me about this later, we can't. I don't want to spend too long on this stuff. This is cool, but I'll move on for now. So, for youth education, I get to do stuff with the kiddos. And we do everything from the urban water cycle tour. We did an entire suite. I think I actually have, who was my student from last year? I had a student who was in here just a second ago that, sorry? Everly? Anyway, she was part of that field trip series. The entire Fayetteville Public Schools system came through IRWP to learn about the urban water cycle. So essentially, we have to take water from somewhere. It doesn't come magically clean to us. We have to clean it. We have to take it. We have to clean it. Then we distribute it. And then after you guys use it, it goes through wastewater treatment, if it does at all. And then it goes back into the source water. And that is a continuing cycle. So for instance, y'all are done with your water. When you flush your toilets today, you send it to me. I live in Siloam Springs, so I get your backwash. However you treat your water, that's what I get. So I tell that to the kids. Everyone is a source water for somebody else, so we all live in that same cyclic ecosystem there. So that's an important thing for kids to know about. And we have field trips at large where we have a bunch of different lab stations. I've been doing a lot more of these field labs where I don't just come to the school with cool stuff. I bring them to the field to do cool stuff, which is like that Don Tyson School of Innovation doing Spring Creek survey thing. So I'll also do these mobile labs where I will bring the goodies to the classroom. So we do a lot of different things. For restoration services, that is a long list of different types of things that we do. I'll say the bulk of what we do are green infrastructure type things like rain gardens or workshops. We will do a lot of maintenance services because whenever we do an installation, we typically have a management plan, because if you put in something cool and you're like, cool, done, that is not how restoration works. And anyone who works in the field of doing stuff like this, you've got to make sure that you've got plans for longevity. You want sustainability, ultimately. And you want your money to be well spent. We do quite a lot of invasive species management, too. I'm sure you guys in Fayetteville, you all know of the tree bounty system. I hope you guys are taking advantage. Get rid of that mimosa. Get rid of the Bradley pear. Let's put something cool in there, like serviceberry. But we do a lot of cool restoration services. And let me see if I made my next slide. I did not, so I'm going to talk about it now. Annie, who is our restoration service director, she's got a really cool project at Prairie Grove Battlefield State Park. Watch that space. Within the next 3 years, they are doing an entire prairie restoration so that it will look like it did back in the Civil War. It's going to have river cane that everybody used to weave through during battles. It's going to have all of the native prairies and wetlands that were expected back then. So that is going to be a really fun project, and that's going to be a long one too. She's doing everything from water monitoring to soil sampling to, frankly, new practices working on river cane. So that is a fun project to look at. So go check out Battlefield State Park. We do septic remediation. I mentioned earlier that total coliform and E. coli are some of Arkansas's worst problems when it comes to water quality. So I can find the problems. My team can help fix them. So a lot of people on septic tanks, if they are not lucky enough to be on a city sewer system, like a lot of you in Fayetteville are, then they have to have their own remediation, which is septic tanks. These things are expensive. They need to be maintained well. If they don't know how to use it properly, it can be a huge issue. And ultimately, if something happens with them and you need to get them fixed, they can be prohibitively expensive, especially for people who are not living in the city and don't have city resources. So we help make sure that they can do that. Depending on what kind of income they have, we help them with more money to be able to afford the septic tank remediation. So basically, the lower the income, the more grant money there is available. And this is Sarah's project. She mostly runs this program. So she talks a lot with landowners who need help, and she's able to help them. And if we can't help them because they're not in our watershed, like if you live in if you live in East Fayetteville and you're in the Beaver watershed, we have a sister program and we can send them to the folks at H2 Ozarks and Beaver Watershed Alliance. So we've created a network to try to help people with septic tank issues. And we have a lot of different volunteering options. So I'm really proud. Over here, these are two of my volunteers for water quality monitoring. I have stream teams for students and adults, and I get to bring them out into the field to do water quality assessments with me. So my adult volunteers, actually, when I first came here today, this afternoon, I was supposed to be out in the field as soon as I was done with this. I was going to have to book it to be out in a stream somewhere, but thunderstorms. So here we are. And these guys will volunteer 3 hours of their time 3 times a year out in the field doing good work. And we have all sorts of planting volunteer opportunities. This is one at our watershed. If you've never been, if you drive to the airport, if you see that little lake off to the right before you take the left, that's us. And this is our property getting a rain garden refurbished. We have a lot of tree plantings. This happens to be the one at NACA, which is a wastewater treatment plant right on the Osage Creek. So putting in those plants where the wastewater is about to be going back into the creek, yay. And we have trash cleanup events. So we just had last weekend our 7th annual Illinois River cleanup, and we had cleanups scattered throughout the entire watershed. It was awesome. This was my Satyr Creek team. Since I live in Siloam, I helped out with the Satyr Creek one. These are some high school students that we worked with. I have the battle scars of poison ivy on my chin to prove it. And we had a really good time with the cleanup, and we got a lot of junk out of the stream right before a lot of the rain was coming through. So we helped clean up this junk before it was washed down to be somebody else's problem. And a couple of programs that we have coming up that I think you will like. We have at Mount Sequoia, we've got a rain garden workshop And right now with the stormwater, I forget what exactly the word is, but like the stormwater taxes going up, I forgot what it's called. Essentially, Mount Sequoia, because they have a lot of land out there, they were going to be very heavily taxed for stormwater. But when you make implementation practices to better your stormwater, you can reduce the amount that you have to pay. So this is a great site to showcase what good restoration work can do. And we're going to help people design their own rain gardens. And I'm going to be leading basically a kid version where all of the adults are going to be doing their thing, they're learning. I'm taking the kiddos and I'm going to train them to be mom's little helper in the garden so that they can actually do some of this work too. So that is a really cool one at Mount Sequoia that I would recommend. That's coming up May 9th. This one is in Oklahoma. I thought I'd put it out there just in case anyone owned land or knew someone out in Oklahoma. But we have some grazing essentials. Since Oklahoma, it's not as urbanly populated. It's a lot more agricultural focused. We have a lot of grazing practices that are being taught out there. So we're doing this practice. How am I doing on time, Joanna? I hope I'm doing all right. Okay, good. Then, Bats and Bluegrass Festival is coming up on June 20th. We have endangered gray bats in our cave at Cave Springs. It is one of the few remaining maternity caves for the reasons I spoke of earlier. If water quality is reduced, mayfly populations, which are a sensitive bug, are reduced. That is their favorite food. So the gray bats are reduced. This is one of the last remaining maternity caves for them. So we have Bats and Bluegrass Festival where we have everybody out on the lawn. We got music playing, we got games, we got everything. And then when the sun goes down, we quiet down and we watch. And if you stand on that bridge right over there, in the hundreds, they are flying right over your head to go get their snacks. So it's a really cool time. And we do have volunteer options for this. You can always just go in as a person to just pay and experience it. But if you volunteer, then you get in for free. And we have a Ag-Ride Forest Water Conference in 2026 for July. So that's going to be late July that we have that. It's a lot of fun. You get to learn a lot about science. You get to learn a lot about the different emerging technologies. And we always do field tours. This happens to be one over at Cane Hill, which is gorgeous. And then I'll leave you with another Mary Oliver. At the beginning, if some of you guys recognize, that was a Mary Oliver quote. I like her. I don't like poetry, but I like Mary Oliver. And when it's over, I want to say, all my life I was a bride married to amazement. I was the bridegroom taking the world into my arms. I don't want to end up simply having visited this world. And I hope y'all don't either. Thank you. Thank you.
With us in body and spirit as you're willing or able, and we're going to sing Blue Boat Home.
Away from the road.
Please join me in extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Okay. Oh. Now, I'd like to say thank you so much to Suzanne. What an enthusiastic speaker and wonderful scientist. Thank you. I only knew her by telephone a few months ago, but we're having more contact, which I really, really like, and she's so great. And the program offers you a chance to give back to the community through some of the volunteer things that she talked about. And I just want to say that a repeat of what Joanna said, over 70%, depending on how you measure, of our citizens are concerned about our climate. And we must take more action because what we've been doing isn't working, right? Okay, our level of activity about climate hasn't been working, and of course it's stuck at the top, right? But we can become the wave that our representative, Steve Womack, said we need to become. He's waiting for the wave, a wave of public opinion, and we have to become that wave. I want you to say 5 times, louder each time, I will find my voice and help the climate. Ready? I will find my voice and help the climate. I will find my voice and help the climate. I will find my voice and help the climate. And I will find my voice and help the climate. I will find my voice and help the climate. Yes. Thank you.